Hello, everyone. Sterling Rivera here, and today I'm going to be making a rant on a movie that I watched while I was on my hiatus, while I was away from YouTube. I don't plan on doing movie reviews on this channel. I'm slowly doing movie reviews on Letterboxd, but this I just kind of wanted to do for shits and giggles, just for fun. And then after I post this, I'll also probably rant on this movie on Letterboxd. This movie I watched during my hiatus, like I said, and it's a movie that literally pissed me off to the point where it is, without a doubt, one of the absolute worst movies I've ever seen. Now, is it Serbian Film and Pink Flamingos bad? No, but if I were to make a top 10 worst movies of all time, it would be on there. Because this film has some of the shittiest writing ever. It has such bad acting. Just not a good thing about it whatsoever. The movie is from 2015 and it is none other than Knock Knock. Directed by Eli Roth, starring Keanu Reeves, Lorenza Izzo, and Anna de Armas. This film was flat out garbage. I watched it back in October. Thankfully, I watched it for free. I remember it was on Peacock. And boy, I didn't think this film would be this fucking bad, but it truly was. This is without a doubt the worst Keanu Reeves movie I have ever seen. And I don't know what he was thinking when he did this movie. This film was just an embarrassment to him. He plays the worst character possible, the most idiotic, moronic, cowardly character ever. The movie is about Keanu Reeves. He's a family man. His character's name is Evan. And he's a family man. He has a wife and 2 kids, I believe. And I think he's like an architect or something. But basically, his wife and his kids go out, like they're on vacation or something. So they go out, and he's left at his home dealing with work. And then all of a sudden, these 2 women show up at his door, played by Lorenza Izzo and Anna de Armas. And slowly but surely, things go apeshit when they mess with him, seduce him, torment him, and basically play a cat and mouse game with him. The story for this movie was just complete shit. And this movie has some of the worst writing I've ever seen. The dialogue between the characters is just so bad and so cringe-inducing. The acting is really bad. Like I said, Keanu gives a really awful performance. This movie's notorious for the scene where he's over the top acting, yelling his head off. It was free pizza, free fucking pizza. That's like the one scene people remember from this movie. And it was just so cringe just seeing Keanu tied to a chair and just yelling random shit like that. And the 2 women, Lorenza Izzo and Anna de Armas, they were awful in this movie. They were super annoying. They were not intimidating. They were not scary. They were just nails on a chalkboard irritating their characters. Eli Roth, his direction was god-awful with this movie. It was so terrible. And it's like, I don't know what he was smoking, what he was taking when he did this movie, but just how this movie was executed was awful, because Keanu Reeves' character does nothing to these 2 women. He does absolutely nothing. He doesn't fight back. He doesn't, kick their asses. He doesn't call the police. He just gets his ass handed to him by these 2 women. And also a spoiler, because I honestly don't recommend watching this movie. I really don't. If you're really that curious, go for it. But, it's truly a fucking massive piece of shit. Because Keanu Reeves fans would be very ashamed of him that he did this movie, as I was. But he literally does nothing to these two women. These two women just get the best of him, torment him, and there's so many times in the movie where he could have easily taken them out. He could have easily escaped, but his character is just slow, trips on shit, doesn't use his head because his common sense flew out the fucking window. And in the end, the spoiler, the two women, they get away with what they do. They get away with trashing his house. They get away with tormenting him. They get away with even a friend of Keanu Reeves' character comes to the house and does such a shitty, stupid job at trying to save his life and instantly gets himself killed because of his stupidity. And yeah, in the end, the two women get away with what they do. They get away and they leave Keanu Reeves buried up to his neck in the backyard, and he is forever tormented and humiliated because of his stupidity. You know, there's a part in the movie where the two women decide to play hide and seek with him. And instead of getting the fuck out of Dodge like he should have, he stays within the house. He grabs a knife, and then right when he's about to escape, he trips over something, falls, loses his knife, and then he gets held at gunpoint. I'm like, are you kidding me? You could have easily done something. Or one scene where Keanu holds one of the girls up against the wall, and then the girl stabs him with a fork in the shoulder. I'm like, just freaking hit her across the face and it'd be over with. But nope. Instead, it's literally just an hour and a half of Keanu getting his ass handed to him by two annoying girls, and it's just a big fucking waste of time. Very pointless movie. And a lot of people say there should be a sequel to this movie with how it ends. There was an alternate ending that did kind of set up a sequel, but for whatever reason it wasn't used. And it was where Keanu is outside of another house where these two women are tormenting another guy, and he knocks on the door and they're like, who's there? And then it just ends. So it kind of weak sauce, but better than the ending that was in the movie, you know, because it's so stupid. I mean, to have a whole movie where a guy gets tormented by two girls, a guy that did nothing wrong, a guy that got tricked and manipulated by these two bitches, and in the end they get away with what they do, is complete bullshit. So fuck this movie. One of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. I would much rather watch Johnny Mnemonic than this movie. Johnny Mnemonic I thought wasn't very good. It wasn't awful, but it wasn't very good. But I would rather watch that again than this piece of shit, because at least Keanu Reeves gave a better performance in that movie. And at least while I wasn't big on the story, at least it was somewhat better than the story here, because this was just executed so badly. And yeah, just a lot of cringe dialogue from the two women. They say a lot of cringe things. Like the part where they're playing hide and seek with him, and one of the girls says, "We can smell you, Evan." It's like, oh my god. And then they play a game show with him called Who Wants to Be a Pedophile? Because, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, the whole movie, you're led to believe that these two women are 15 years old. They say that they're 15. I'm like, yeah, 15 my fucking ass. And then at the end of the movie, they're like, yep, we're 23. It's like, fucking shitty ass writing. Eli Roth, I mean, I've only ever seen Hostel, which I watched that for the first time back in January, and I wasn't a fan of it. And so far, his only movie that I liked was the Death Wish remake, which I know some people weren't big on, but I would much rather watch that movie than this movie. That movie's a masterpiece compared to this. But yeah, bottom line, Knock Knock is one of the absolute worst pieces of shit I've ever seen. I am not exaggerating. It's in my top 10 worst movies of all time. I currently have a private worst movie ranking list on Letterboxd. It still needs work because I'm trying to figure out like what movies are worse than others, you know, but this would definitely be in the top 10. I don't know about top 5, but top 10. It's a movie that pissed me off with how it ended, how it was executed, how it was written, how bad the acting was. You know, and Anna de Armas, I really like her as an actress. You know, 10 years after this, she would reunite with Keanu Reeves in Ballerina. And thankfully, that was a masterpiece compared to this. And then I know they did another movie together. I think it was called Exposed or something. I'll have to look at that. But this was their first collaboration together, and it was a complete fucking abomination. Lorenza Izzo, I know she was married to Eli Roth at the time, so I think that's how she got the job. But yeah, what gets me is how Keanu Reeves goes from doing the first John Wick to doing this. You know, he just goes from being a total badass to a total pussy, moronic pussy in this movie. You know, he could have easily taken these women out. He could have escaped from them. He could have done a lot of things, but he does nothing. It's almost like he didn't want to fight back. He didn't want to hurt the girls. You know, it's just shitty writing. Stupid ass movie that I never ever want to watch again. And I highly do not recommend this movie. This film gets a 0 out of 5 for me. Half star out of 5 easily. One of the worst ever. If you haven't seen it, consider yourself lucky. I only watched this movie because it was turning 10 years old, and I was curious about it because Keanu Reeves and Anna de Armas, it was their first collaboration, and, you know, kind of the idea of it kind of interested me, but man, this film was just horribly executed. So I don't recommend it whatsoever. Fuck this movie, and I would say fuck Eli Roth, because this shows how bad of a director he is. Because, I mean, I've only seen 3 of his movies, but, you know, I'll probably watch his other ones and then make the final judgment of, you know, if he truly is a bad director. But this is such a shitty movie that I just couldn't get over how fucking bad it was. So, but overall, that is my rant on Knock Knock. This will probably be the only time I rant on a movie. I just wanted to do this just for fun, see how this goes. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. With that being said, I am Sterling. Take care, and I will see you guys later. Peace out. Bye-bye.